Hello, hello. As you probably guessed from the title of this video, I am once again playing a video game. This one may not have as much lore as Five Nights at Freddy's, but its fan base is just as big if not bigger. And yet this video game has never been made into a movie. And there are some reasons why. So let's talk about it. I assume that's why you clicked on the video, or you just wanted to see me. If you don't know about it, it's a farming simulation game, and by design it has no clear plot, aside from plots of land, am I right? The player almost entirely decides how the game moves forward by their own choices. The only thing the player can't control is how NPCs are programmed to respond and act. So basically, playing a game like this is just like living life. It's interesting because when this game was released in 2016, farming simulation games were not at their peak. But the game was so good, it brought that genre back into the spotlight. Fans love the game so much that they have made mods that expand the world and add more characters just so they can play more of the game. They're even putting content from other games into this game, like Baldur's Gate. Do you know how good your game has to be to where people want to play other games inside of your game instead of just playing the other game? So it's no surprise that this game is widely cited as one of the best video games of all time. It's also one of the most purchased video games of all time. In 2024, 8 years after the video game's initial release, it had sold 50 million copies and made nearly $500 million in revenue. And those numbers continue to increase. People would definitely think, with the success and critical acclaim of this game, that someone would surely adapt it into a film. Right? I am almost positive that there have been many offers to this creator to adapt his game, but he is quite outspoken about the fact that he only wants Studio Ghibli to adapt it. It makes sense that he's so protective over Stardew Valley because he made the entire thing himself. He's very close to it, and it's super successful. You don't want to adapt it and do it wrong. But that got me thinking, how do you do a Stardew Valley movie right? And that is what we're talking about today. Aside from the creator's insistence that this film could only be adapted by one studio, there are other things holding this back from becoming a movie. Typically, when you're adapting a video game for TV or movies, you're looking for a couple of things. You're either looking for unique gameplay that is just as fun to watch as it is to play, like Angry Birds or Minecraft, or you're looking for a complete storyline that doesn't necessarily need gameplay to tell it. That's most video game adaptations, but for example, Resident Evil. That's why we have film and TV adaptations of games like Fallout or The Last of Us, but not so much for games that rely heavily on player choices like Baldur's Gate 3 or Skyrim. What makes Stardew Valley particularly difficult to adapt is the game has no defined journey, no ending. It can be played indefinitely. Other games that rely heavily on player choices, like Baldur's Gate and Skyrim, are technically more adaptable because they do have an overarching journey. Whereas games that inherently have no story, like Angry Birds and Minecraft, but they have unique gameplay, you can just put any story on top of it and you make a movie and bam, you get $1 billion. In Stardew Valley, the story is essentially your family left you a farm, take care of it, and live your life. There's no structure. There's no tangible goal that you have to achieve in order to play the game correctly, and there's no emotional journey built in for the protagonist. Like I said before, the player of the game is largely responsible for how the story unfolds just based on their own choices and how they prefer to play the game. For example, when I played years ago, all I did was take my characters straight to the mine. I would work in the mine till I passed out. I'd go back to the mine. I would keep returning every single day. I don't remember what I was after. I just really enjoyed going to the mines. I had no idea the degree to which you could interact with NPCs and really change your character's life. So today we're gonna see what I was missing and we're gonna determine what of those elements of the gameplay can be adapted into a film or TV show. I'm ready to play and I won't go to the mines as much as last time. Okay, I have the game on my phone and I'm ready to play. Definitely need to enable tutorial hints. And for my very special granddaughter, I want you to have this sealed envelope. No, don't open it yet. Have patience. Now listen close. He just dies. There will come a day when you feel crushed by the burden of modern life, and your bright spirit will fade before a growing emptiness. When that happens, my dear, you'll be ready for this gift. I'm already there. Now let Grandpa rest. XX years later. They don't want to age me, I guess. There's me. I'd be crying too in this situation. Yep, time to open the letter. Dear Mia, if you're reading this, you must be in dire need of a change. The same thing happened to me long ago. I'd lost sight of what mattered most in life, real connections with other people and nature. There's our theme. I dropped everything and moved to the place I truly belong. I've enclosed the deed to that place, my pride and joy, Macboo Farm. That's the name of my dog, and the character's name is also the name of my dog. It's located in Stardew Valley on the southern coast. It's the perfect place to start your new life. Hello, you must be Mia. Yes, I am. I'm Robin, the local carpenter. Mayor Lewis sent me here to fetch you and show you the way to your new home. He's there right now, tidying things up for your arrival. The farm's right over here if you'll follow me. I will. This place is a disaster. There's trash everywhere. Well, not trash. Just crap. I'm crying. What's the matter? Sure, it's a bit overgrown, but there's some good soil under that mess. With a little dedication, you'll have it cleaned up in no time. Me? Clean that up? I just got here. Why haven't you done it? And here we are, your new home. Well, it better not be as crappy as the outside. Who is this at my door? Welcome, I'm Lewis, Mayor of Pelican Town. Why are there so many names for this place? So, you're moving into your grandfather's old cottage. It's a good house, very rustic. Uh-oh. Rustic? That's one way to put it. Crusty might be a little more apt, though. Okay. Yeah, you know what's really rude? That I have to live there. Don't listen to her, Mia. She's just trying to make you dissatisfied so that you buy one of her house upgrades. Oh, well, maybe I will, okay? Tomorrow you ought to explore the town a bit and introduce yourself. Well, good luck! Okay. I received a gift. I received 15 parsnip seeds, no more, no less. Here's a little something to get you started, Mayor Lewis. Thank you for the generous 15 seeds. Looks like quite a mess. Let's clear this place up. Ugh, putting me to work. Well done. Try clearing some more weeds and rocks. Yeah! Oh my god, they're really gonna make me do this. You know what? I'm walking away. It's not like you can stop me. Saloon? First frickin' stop. Here we go. Let me in. It's locked! Let me in! Oh, it's only 8:30 a.m. These people must think that I'm crazy. Oh, who is this? Well, hello there, I'm Gus, chef and owner of Stardrop Saloon. Okay, why don't you let me in? How about that, Gus? Shane? I don't know you. Why are you talking to me? Okay. Alex, hey, you're the new girl, huh? I think we're gonna get along great. Okay, what makes you say that? I'm running. Joja Mart. Isn't that the place I was working? I was working corporate. These people have no idea I was a corporate girly. Where am I supposed to go? I'm stressed. I don't know why I'm stressed. Hey, have a nice walk. Yeah, I sure did. Have you met everyone in town yet? That sounds exhausting. Yeah, you're telling me. Have you met my daughter, Maru? She's interested to meet you. Whoa. You know, with a small town like this, a new face can really alter the community dynamic. It's exciting! You're not good enough friends with Robin or Demetrius to enter their bedroom. They may as well have invited me in there with the way they were talking to me. Okay, take me to the mines. What? Oh my god! They are intentionally keeping me out of the mines. They know I'm gonna go crazy in there. Oh my god. I need my character to hustle. We're not moving fast enough. You're asking me to garden. You're not even letting me do anything. Okay. It's just a game. Just a game that won't let me do anything. There. Okay. I don't know why I'm like rage playing Stardew Valley. Who am I? I have 500 and a beer is 400. It's not worth it. Welcome to the Stardrop Saloon. Can I get you anything? No, you can't. Ooh, I can read it on your face. You're gonna love it here in Pelican Town. Okay, what makes you say that? Because I'm pretty pissed off, actually, Emily. If you're ever looking for something to do in the evening, stop by the saloon. That's where I work. Girl, what do you do there? The annoying guy is ignoring me. Can I kill him? Egg Festival. Well, we can't miss that. Shane, that's the annoying guy. I will make sure that I cause mass destruction on that day. Oh, hello, I'm Penny. What? I can't talk to her more than once. Some of these people want nothing to do with me, and frankly, I think that's freaking rude. If you want me to upgrade your tools, you'll have to give me the correct ore. You know, he's very direct. I like that. I don't believe we've met. I'm Morris, Joja Customer Satisfaction Representative. When you decide you want to become a Joja member, I'll be delighted to help make your transition a joyous experience. Thank you, Morris. I don't know why I gave you that voice. It just seemed very fitting. Shane's hard at work. He doesn't seem interested in talking. That's Shane. That's why he didn't want to talk to me. He didn't want me to know. See, I'm the corporate girly, and here you are, the stock boy. You know what? That is ripe for romance potential. But he's a freaking jerk. But I'm gonna have to see what people online think about him, because that could actually be a good storyline. Hello, who are you? Hey, don't be snooping around the trailer when I'm out, got it? Whoa. I wasn't near your trailer, Pam. But now that you mention it, I'm gonna go there, because I see it right over there. You must have something to hide. Oh, I went right inside. There's nothing to see in here. What did she think I was gonna see? What is this? She's got like a science experiment, or is that alcohol? I don't know. Alright, who else is around here? I'm Sam, good to meet you. Yeah, another person who won't talk to me beyond saying what their name is. Why am I able to just like randomly enter people's homes? Like, I have the balls to enter their house, but I don't have the balls to open any doors inside. If I'm getting inside the front door, I'm going all the way. I'm going in every room. I'm looking in every drawer. I'm looking at what shampoo they use. I'm judging every single choice they make. Looking at their fridge. Eggs, bread, carrots, and milk. See, it knew I was gonna start snooping. Let me in the door right now. Ah, the new farmer we've all been expecting, and whose arrival has sparked many a conversation. I'm Elliot. I live in the little cabin by the beach. It's a pleasure to meet you. Okay. All that, and he won't even say one other freaking word to me? Who's this? Is that Shane? What? What do you want? Go away. Alright. I will. You don't have to tell me twice. There's like a local general store. We know that the big store, Joja Mart, is an antagonistic force. Ignoring me again. Typical. Typical Shane. If it weren't for those horrendous clothes, you might actually be pretty. Actually, never mind. Okay. Haley, I think we're gonna be friends. You know, we can gossip about everybody in the town, just me and you. We can drink some tea and just gossip. Drink tea and spill the tea. Haley, right? Right? Haley? Don't ignore me. Let me in! You're not good enough friends with Haley to enter her bedroom. Soon enough I will be, okay? Soon enough we will be gossiping together. Sitting on the couch. Gossiping, drinking our tea. We're gonna be talking about how annoying Shane is. If I knew where to buy clothes, I would buy new clothes. And you know what, Haley? We would go shopping together. You and me, we would go on a shopping spree. We'd go to the mall. I don't think there is a mall, but we would go. Okay, I've already been playing for like 30 minutes, so I think I'm gonna discover the rest of the characters on my own, not filming it, because I'm like mid crash out. I don't know why this game has me crashing out, but it does. I do have some thoughts about how to adapt it into a film. Because there's so little actual plot to this game, we need to take a look at the elements that we can use. We want to keep the things that make this game special. Its themes, its characters, and the aspects of the gameplay that make it fun. There are also some parts of this game that we can use in our film's structure. For example, there actually is a built-in inciting incident and first act break. The inciting incident is getting the letter from our grandpa. The first act break is arriving at the farm. We also have antagonistic forces built in, like Joja Mart, and the larger antagonistic force, capitalism. As far as the aspects of the gameplay that we want to bring into the film, we're definitely going to want to keep the relationship building with the townspeople and the growing and exploring of the town. And then the biggest question, who is going to be the love interest? This is probably the most important question for this adaptation, even more important than who is the protagonist themselves. We definitely want to go with a fan favorite character, maybe even two, make it a love triangle. I did some research and it seems like Abigail and Sebastian are the top two picks for marriage candidates, as they're called. So, with all that in mind, I have crafted a pitch for what I believe would be at least a decent adaptation of Stardew Valley. So just like any other movie, we're going to spend the first few minutes establishing the protagonist's normal world and what they need to change. The first bit of the game actually works really well for this. We have the protagonist in Jojo Mart Corporate, clearly burnt out. They open the letter from their grandpa and decide to leave it all behind. And that's exactly the arc we're gonna follow in Act 1. The only thing is, in the game, this is like a 1-minute segment. We need to expand it to take up about 20 minutes. So I'm thinking we flesh out a little bit more of the workplace because ultimately, I kind of want some of these characters to come back later in the film, and you'll see why. So first, we have our protagonist, and the problem with our protagonist is that they work too hard. They've sold their soul to working in corporate America. But in the film, we're going to establish that our protagonist is actually working towards a promotion, and there's someone else in the office that's also working towards this promotion, and they're more likely to get the job. And on this day that we start our story, there's this big meeting that our protagonist is supposed to lead. Minutes before the meeting, they get a phone call from their family. Their grandpa's dying, and they need to go say goodbye. After talking to some of their coworkers that they trust, the protagonist decides that it's okay to go say goodbye to their grandpa, miss this meeting, and come back. So the protagonist will go visit their grandpa on his deathbed, and he will give them a letter. And just like the game, he'll say, "Don't open this letter unless you're ready to leave everything in your life behind." The protagonist gets back to work, and it's either the middle of the meeting or the meeting just ended, and they see that their rival has taken their place in this meeting, and their boss is super impressed with them. The boss pulls the protagonist aside and is like, "Where were you? You really dropped the ball here." The protagonist explains they had to say goodbye to their grandpa. He was dying, and that's more important. And the boss is like, "Really? Family's more important? Because I see this company as a family." That is the moment the protagonist realizes the corporate world is horrible and they want no part of it. And luckily, now they have a way out. They open the letter, find out the information about Stardew Valley, and they leave everything behind, and they're well on their way. And when the protagonist arrives in Stardew Valley, that is the end of our first act. I'm thinking on the way to Stardew Valley, the protagonist is really hyping things up in their head. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be such a great escape. Then the protagonist arrives and sees all the overgrown weeds, broken fences, and all the things they need to take care of in order to make this place somewhat livable. Seeing all of this makes our protagonist wonder, did I make a mistake? Should I go back? Just then, the mayor of the town will approach our protagonist, greet them, and tell them about the amazing festival that's happening the next day, and they should come. They can meet everybody. Around this point is also where I would want to plant the seeds of the Junimos. Probably when the protagonist is going to sleep at night, they hear something outside, and maybe we see the Junimos outside, but the protagonist doesn't see them. Next day, it's the festival. We'd get to see a little bit of everybody's personality during this scene. It would be a lot of fun. But at this point, we should also be introducing the central storyline and the antagonistic force. So I'm thinking at this festival, there can be a Jojo Mart representative going around with a petition to change the community center into a Jojo Mart warehouse. This is one of the key plot points in the game, so I think it's very important to make sure it's established right away. And during this party also, we'll see some sparks flying between our protagonist and Sebastian. But remember, before I mentioned there are two main love interests that I want to focus on. We haven't yet met Abigail, but we're about to. Right before the Jojo Mart representative approaches our protagonist, their clipboard goes missing, and no one knows where it went, but the protagonist sees one of the Junimos carrying it away. That leads our protagonist, and probably Sebastian as well, he would probably be following us, to the community center, which is where we meet Abigail, who has been studying these creatures and tells our protagonist a little bit about them. She explains that these little creatures seem to come around when people invest time and energy into the town. Now at this point, we've established our protagonist, the supporting characters, the central storyline, the overarching themes, the antagonist, blah 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 blah. Now that we have our little trio of Sebastian, Abigail, and our protagonist, we're gonna explore some of that fun gameplay. We'll see Sebastian and Abigail teaching our protagonist things like mining, fishing, farming. We pull some of the actual tasks and events from the game itself and put them into the film, some of the best ones. To be honest, I didn't do that much research on it yet because I wanted to play the game and experience them myself, and I didn't want to spoil myself, so let's just say fun things happen here. Now that we've had our fun and games, we're at the midpoint of our movie. And remember how I said that I wanted to bring back some of the JoJo Mart corporate characters? This is where they come back. Right around the time where the protagonist is actually really enjoying this life. And their old coworkers show up and they see our protagonist looking like, I don't know, like Rob from Love Island. Not hot, but like overalls. Maybe the protagonist and Sebastian and Abigail just got back from the mines or something. And these coworkers are really here because they want to convince more of the townspeople to sign the petition to turn the community center into a JoJo Mart warehouse. And when they tell the protagonist this, the protagonist kind of has to hide the fact that they're against this idea, especially because one of the coworkers tells the protagonist that their old boss was fired. And the person that took that boss's place is one of the protagonist's closest old friends from work. And guess what? They've been asking about our protagonist. So the coworkers are like, well, if you ever want to come back, we have a job for you. Now the protagonist is being tempted with the success that they wanted in their old life. Of course, this is gonna hit hard for our protagonist. It's gonna be a tough choice no matter how much they're enjoying this new town. On the down low, the protagonist will take the email address from one of the coworkers and say, I'll reach out. Sebastian will see the protagonist doing this. I'm thinking that Sebastian would encourage the protagonist to take the job because it's an escape from this little town. And it's also an opportunity because if the protagonist leaves and gets this awesome job in the city, maybe they can take Sebastian with them. They can escape this small town together. And I'm thinking at this point, the JoJo Mart petition will have almost all the signatures it needs. It just needs like 2 more. And Sebastian signs it. But our protagonist is still torn. Shortly after, it'll be announced in the town that they only need 1 more signature on the petition to sign away the community center. Abigail starts realizing the math isn't mathing. If they have that many signatures, that means at least Sebastian or the protagonist has signed that petition. Sebastian, of course, will deny it, even though the protagonist and we know that he did sign it. When Abigail asks the protagonist if they signed it, they're gonna say no, which is true, but they're certainly thinking about it. From here, I'm thinking that we see how the fun and games is no longer fun and games. The farming actually becomes really hard work. Maybe the protagonist messes something up and all their crops are destroyed. And this makes our protagonist wonder, is this life harder than the corporate life they escaped from? Selfishly, at this point, I want to bring in one of my favorite characters, Linus. But you know what? He's kind of the perfect mentor for our protagonist, so it actually works. Hear me out. The protagonist will get to a point where they're super frustrated and just want to go escape everything and be alone for a bit. So they head to the lake and that's where they see Linus. Up until this point, maybe they've avoided Linus or people have said to avoid him, so the protagonist has just not interacted with him. In this scene, Linus approaches our protagonist and they have a little heart to heart. Until now, the protagonist thought Linus was just some weirdo living in a tent by the lake. But Linus can explain that he actually had quite a similar life to our protagonist. Maybe he also had a big city job, maybe it was even a JoJo Mart, but he chose to live this life in a tent by the lake because he gets to be close to nature and that's what he cares the most about. This would be another moment that helps confirm to our protagonist what they need to learn, that a successful life doesn't necessarily mean successful to other people, it just means successful for you. We see them go home, get on their computer, and they start emailing that email they got from their coworker. Says something like, meet me here at this time, we need to talk. Something that makes us genuinely question, is the protagonist actually gonna go back to corporate life? To add a little extra tension to the story, the protagonist could be meeting with their former coworker at the same time that there's a Junimos event. Abigail is thinking, well, surely the protagonist wouldn't just miss out on this event, so they go to the protagonist's house. Abigail assumes, as anyone would, seeing that the protagonist has either signed signed the petition or is going back to their corporate life. We, as the audience, get a closer look at this conversation, and we find out the protagonist is actually saying goodbye to their friend. This would be one of those like big dramatic moments where the protagonist is essentially explaining the theme, saying things like, I'm choosing this life because this is what makes me happy. After this, the protagonist is feeling invigorated. Our protagonist would then hurry off to this Junimos event and explain everything to Abigail and Sebastian, and because I don't want to fully plot out this, essentially, they understand the protagonist, everything gets resolved, yay! The three of them together can head into the climax, the final Junimos event. By the end of the climax, the community center is fully rebuilt, the idea of a JoJo Mart warehouse being there is long gone, everyone's happy, and fade out and credits. So there you have it, that is my half-baked Stardew Valley feature adaptation pitch. I am very willing to bet that if this gets made into a movie, it's going to follow a very similar structure. Unless they completely change everything and don't take much from the game at all, it's gonna be something like that. Anyway, I had a lot of fun with this, and maybe I'll do it again for another video game. But until then, you'll just have to watch some of my other videos. Bye!